All right, we are getting started here. Bear with me, folks. We're going to be streaming today the AM6B Plus from Ugoos, or Ugoos. And what this is a TV box that apparently, if I understand it correctly, might be a good Shield alternative, although to get it to the Shield alternative stage is a lot of work, and that's what I'm doing today is the setup part. So what you have to do to this, in order to get this to do what you need it to do, is you have to basically wipe out the Android partition and put on the CoreElec OS. And I have that here. So what CoreElec is basically a version of Kodi that will allow us to get access to all of that hardware. And we have to download a bunch of stuff first. So that's kind of the path that we are taking today. So the first thing we're going to do is get this thing out of the box, and then we'll begin working on it. So that is the track. So Patrick Chang is joining us, and Dan Dorma is joining us, and AH is joining us. And what I'm going to do while I do this, actually, is we are going to do a recording while I do this. That is the plan. So we're going to get it out of the box, get it ready to go. We are never going to boot Android on this at all. It's actually, it feels pretty nice. It's a very solid TV box. And what it has is everything that a lot of these cheap boxes don't have, and this one's not cheap. It has gigabit Ethernet. You got your HDMI, of course. 2 USB 2s. You've got a USB 3 on the front, which they say OTG, so I guess that's where you'd plug in your OTG devices. AV out, aux in, and a TF card. So I think we'll plug in our USB drive into that USB 3 port. And Christian's already done this. Yes, this is going to be fun. This is going to be like a totally new thing here. And so when this is done, this is not going to be very useful for like Netflix and stuff. But if you are someone who does a lot of home theater enthusiast stuff and you want that ability to have an alternative to the Shield, I think this one might be it. And we got to find the reset button on this thing because we have to push the reset button. And I don't see where the reset button is unless it's on the bottom. It's on the bottom. Okay, so we have to put this into recovery mode. There's a recovery and a mask ROM. I don't know which one is which. We'll figure it out. I have a how-to guide. So, and this is what's so funny. I don't know if it's the algorithm or if it's just the state of mind, but yeah, we're going to do a full-on walkthrough here. I'm going to try to get some testing in. I've got to be out of here in a little bit, so we will get as far as we can. My goal is, I think we should be able to get this working and booting, and then we can try to do a Dolby Vision test, because that's the big thing. All right, now I've already got a diversion here. Install the CPM build instead of the Core one. It's far more featured. It makes the device with capabilities far exceeding. Yes, but does it work with Dolby Vision off of my Blu-rays with that? And worst comes to worst, we'll come back and do the other thing. Jason is here. Shane Thomas is here. And we're going to be going to the Core here, I'll show you which build I'm looking at here. This is the 21NG. I'm following this guide on this website here. So this is what I was going to follow. This was my plan, unless you want to divert me off of that plan. Oh, you changed your name. Are you trying to go? You're going incognito after Star Wars Day. You don't want to get identified. All right, one last thing to do here, and that is to get my remote control figured out here. And I'm guessing there's no batteries in it. Of course not. So we got to find. I got to find the AAA batteries now. With any luck, I have AAA batteries and something else that I can swap out. I never have enough AAA batteries. And it's funny because I never use more than one thing at a time, but I never take the batteries out, which is probably a bad idea. So I don't know what CPM build it is. Yes, it's always fun to do the live stuff. Amda Brown is joining us on Amazon as well, where you can find me too. So, yeah, so we're going to get the remote control in here. And like I said, we are never going to have this thing work as its built-in operating system. So we are going to go completely into open ELEC mode here and turn this into a little media thing. Yes, I don't want to do any conversion here. I want straight up Dolby Vision to work with my TV. No tone mapping, just want to pass it through. So I do use rechargeable batteries. I like the, what are those ones that everybody uses? The ones that last a longer, that can hold the charge longer. You all know what it is. I can't remember. I'll look it up real quick. But I know what you're talking about here. Let me pull it up here. I use the I'm never going to find another. Eneloops. The Panasonic Eneloops are the ones that I use. I've had good luck with them. I don't use them in my remote controls just because typically those nickel metal hydride batteries don't retain their charges all that long. And what we're going to do, yeah, Eneloops, that's right. So this gizmo is the Ugoos, this is a TV box. The Ugoos, what do they call this one again? The AM6B Plus. And what this is, from what I've been reading, is that if you install CoreElec on it, what it will let you do, let me just unplug a bunch of unnecessary things here, is pass through Dolby Vision and lossless audio from Blu-ray MKVs, which is something that no other TV box really can do besides the NVIDIA Shield. So, and I got this right before the tariffs kicked in. So you got to be careful. Like if you buy this on Amazon, you're fine because the price is the price. But from other sources, it might be more. I'm going to actually unplug this for now. Yeah, so I got in on this one just under the gun. All right, so now we got to follow the instructions here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to download everything. Yeah, it's definitely got beefy antennas on it. And Churn just got one as well. So I might look at that build afterward. I'm going to try to go with this one first, just because, again, what I want is like pass through. I don't like any processing. I just want my stuff to go right through. So that's my goal here. So let me go over to the guide here. And what we're going to do is we're going to download all the necessary files. So the first one we need is this one called dovi.ko. I'm just going to throw all this in my downloads folder. We're going to download remote conf. Oops. I got to right-click that one, it looks like. Throw that in the downloads folder. We need Balana Etcher, which I have pulled up here. So we'll download Etcher. And we'll just get the installer version, I guess. Download that. And we also need the CoreElec Nightly Generic. So we'll grab that one. So now we should have all of our files that we need for this. So let me go back a notch here, and we can follow the rest of the instructions. So, and I have a thing. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is prepare the installation drive. So I'm going to do that real quick. What I've got for an installation drive, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do a quick recording here so I can use this in my main video. So bear with me for a second, folks. All right. Okay. 3, 2, 1. So to follow the instructions here, we're going to need I think I'll probably do this in the actual video part. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we've got my USB device. 3, 2, 1. All right, so I've got my USB device here. It is ready to be flashed. This will get erased. So if you have anything important on your USB drive, you want to make sure that it is erasable so you don't lose anything. And after that, we're going to grab the image file from the link that you'll have above, and I downloaded the most recent version of it. And now what I'm going to do is install the USB stick here into my laptop, and then we can run a program called Etcher. The link for that is on the page, and it's a very easy way to essentially burn a bootable disk image to a USB drive. So why don't we do that now? All right, that's good. That's step one. Step one of many, or maybe not. We will see. Yeah, that's the one thing, Brown, with those nickel metal hydride batteries is that their voltage is lower than what you would get with an alkaline. So it throws off, like any one of those battery meters get thrown off with that. All right, so now we're going to switch back over to the laptop here. And I think Etcher has been installed, so we're going to just install that real quick. We got to go through the motions with that. And while that's going, I'll take some more questions. Yes, finally got better. It took like a week and a half. Yep. So if you have an NVIDIA Shield Pro and you're happy with it, you're fine. So this, what I was looking for was, if there's no more Shield, what do we do? So this might be the solution. It's not a great solution, but it'll carry through. And I was expecting that we would have a new Shield if the Switch 2 was announced with a new chipset, but we don't. And from what I'm gathering, the Switch 2, even though it's built on NVIDIA's Tegra hardware, is not the same as the original Shield was. So there might be more involved for NVIDIA. Remember, NVIDIA made the Tegra chip for the Shield initially, but also for other Android boxes. And Nintendo basically integrated that chipset into the Switch. So this time around, I have a feeling that Nintendo was very much involved in the creation of the SoC, which makes it probably more difficult to have it repurposed as something else. And I think NVIDIA makes far more money with Nintendo than they do with their own device. Remember, the NVIDIA Shield, when it was developed, was to be a game console. But of course, that didn't pan out. All right, so let me go into... Hey, Central Control is here. I need to play with your software because I've got this is my control. This is what I'm using. And I've had it on my list to try it. I need to figure out how I can integrate Central Control into my life. So we should talk one of these days. I'm thinking about spinning up a video nerd production channel, so that might be a fun thing to have on that channel. So CoreElec on supported devices is the only machine on the market that can play Dolby Vision Profile 7. And that's true. The new Shield may not even support it, right? So Profile 7 is what the Blu-ray discs use. All right, so let's go over to Etcher now that we have it installed. And I'm going to minimize this. All right, so why don't we look at the directory here? I'm just going to try to shoot this video as we talk here. Oops. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're looking at my download folder now, and we've got the Dovi KO folder. Oops, 3, 2, 1. So we're looking at my download folder here. We've got our Dovi KO file, our remote conf file. We have Etcher, which I just installed by double-clicking on this. I'm on Windows, but it's the same on other platforms. And then we have the CoreElec file here that we're going to burn to our USB drive, which is installed now in my computer. So if we go over to Etcher, again, I installed that from the installer. I'm going to go Flash from File, and we're going to go over to Downloads and select that image that I downloaded. For the target, I'm going to select the USB drive that I have installed. Be very careful here because you want to make sure you click on the right one, because if you have other USB drives, you'll probably see them on the list here. It will hide some of your larger drives, so if you have a SSD that you're connecting, it might be hidden, so if you show hidden, it will show you where it is. But we're going to select that. And now I'm going to click on Flash, and we'll have a little Windows thing pop up here, and we'll let the Flasher do its thing. So it's going to decompress that image, and now it will write it out to my drive. So why don't we let this finish up, and we'll take it from the next step. All right, there we go. So what I'm trying to do is maximize my time here. So rather than do this again when I shoot the video, we're going to do it now and go from there. So I will show you what Etcher is doing right now. And this is a rather slow USB drive. This drive is probably like 10 years old. So I just had it in the bin. It's only writing at 4 megabytes per second. So that's a little on the slow side. But what we're doing is basically installing a different operating system on this TV box. That's right, New Century, need a new shield. Yes, please do. I'd love to connect, because I've been meaning to reach out to you for years now, and this would be good to connect on that. Yes. Victor Echo 5 says, NVIDIA knows, yeah, for sure. So who owns Profile 7? This is a Dolby Vision thing, or Dolby owns that. And this is a streaming box, that's correct. But we're not hacking it, but we are loading on an alternative operating system other than Android. And Spicy Raymond is joining us. And yeah, this is essentially an ISO file that we are writing out to the USB drive. Now, when this is done, what we have to do, and this is what I'm going to be curious to see how this works, or what format it uses, is that we have to move some files around. So we'll see what it gets. Now, the good news is that if you want a Shield, they still sell the Shield Pro. So my advice would be that if you have a desire for an Android box that does everything, I should add it to my, to my list here. The Shield Pro is still available. I would get one while you can. If you have one, maybe get an extra one, because I don't know how much longer they're going to be around for. NVIDIA's been very quiet about that. And actually, it looks like on Amazon right now, they don't have any in stock. Let's see. Let me find it on the other thing here. They had them recently. They went on sale, like not like a huge sale, but it was, oh, here it is. Why is it not on my list? Yeah, $199 still. And it's sold through Amazon. Let me see if I can find it here. NVIDIA. It's so weird. It's not showing up on my app. But it is here. So let me just grab the ASIN here, and we'll add it to our thing here, so that if you're in the market for a Shield, yeah, I would not wait on a Shield right now, because I don't know how much longer they're going to be around. I would say as long as Nintendo is making the Switch 1, they will be here. 807 YP9F. Yeah, it's not showing up. For some reason, I can't drop this into, oh, it's B, that's why. All right, so I'll put this into the carousel. Yeah, so the Shield is $200, which, believe it or not, is about what this one costs anyhow. So this is not the low-cost alternative. This is the alternative, from what I'm reading, and it takes a lot of work to do it. So, but I did drop the NVIDIA Shield into the mix. So that would be the one I would recommend for turnkey. This is you're going to see is far from turnkey. All right, so now we're done with that. So let's go back to the guide, and I should be able to see my drive. I think it might have ejected it. Let's see. Because we have to do next, I'll show you what it says on the list here. We have to navigate through the partition. So let's pop the drive out here, and let's see if it will recognize it. Doo-doo. All right, so let's go back. Here we go. Perfect. Okay. So I did have to pop the drive out and pop it back in. All right, so let's pick it up from here. I'll see if I have any more questions here. So Profile 7, I think, is only Blu-ray. Martin Paolini is here. Hello there. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I did buy the 2019 one because the 2019 one supports Dolby Vision on streaming services and on Blu-rays. But yeah, I would get the 2019 NVIDIA one. And yes, this is the streaming box. All right, so now let's pick it up from the next step in our guide here. And I'm not rushing, but I've got to be at my local. I'm not flying today. But I'm going for some ground training today on my continuing flight lesson journey. And I've been learning how to fly a plane. I'm getting better. I've got about 10 hours of flight experience now, and an instructor with me, which is good. And the only thing I can think of here is if you ever watched that movie Airplane, when he's flying the plane and like sweating profusely, that is typically me right now. They give you enough control to feel your mistakes. Let's put it that way. So it's fun. All right. So now we're going to pick it up from here. I will do an updated video on where I'm at with the flying. I'm trying to figure out how to be different than the other aviation channels. But I haven't figured that out yet. Okay, 3, 2, 1. All right, so our flash is complete, and what you have to do next is close this and then take your USB drive and put it back in again so it'll mount up on your computer's desktop. And there's a couple of things that we have to do inside of the USB drive. So if we go to our list here, what we have to do next is open up the partition, which I happen to have conveniently opened up here. Again, just go to your drive, drive letter that's assigned to your USB stick. In my case, it is D. And what I'm going to do is navigate to the device trees folder, which is right here. And I'm going to copy the G12 S922 Ugoos to the root of our CoreElec directory. So we do have to move a file here. So let's go back into the directory here. And let's look for that file name. There's a bunch of them in here. So what we're going to do is look for S922 Ugoos AM6, which I think is this one. So G12B S922X, that looks to be it. There's another one below it, but I don't think that's the right one. So we're going to follow the directions here. And what I'm going to do is move this one to the root directory of our CoreElec here. So we're just going to drag it over to D. And now we need to rename that file. So you can see it here. And we're going to rename this to dtb.img. dtb.img. And we're going to confirm that. And that's been renamed. The next thing we need to do is go back to our downloads folder because we have to copy over a few other things to the disk here. So we're going to go over to my downloads and we have to copy that Dolby KO file, that's the Dolby Vision file, to the root, which is D. And we're also going to copy remote.conf to the root as well. And now that that is done, we're going to safely remove our USB stick and move it over to the box to boot it up. Let's see what happens next. All right. So far, so good, right, everybody? 102. I'm just logging my clips here. Install part 3. All right. How's everybody doing today? Everybody doing good? Yeah, get in. Get in. So I did do a video about flight sim. So after I took my first lesson, like the discovery lesson, I did talk about it. And I will tell you, I've been using the VR mode on Microsoft Flight Sim. I've been careful not to do too much with it because it's easy to get into bad habits if you're not basing your training inside the sim on what you're actually training in real life. So I've been reluctant to do too much with it. But right now I'm working on my pattern flying, on how to fly in the pattern around an airport. So now that I kind of know the basics, now that I've done it a number of times, I can get a feel for what the plane should be doing or what I should be doing in the plane. It's been good. And actually, now that I'm using Flight Sim, having experienced that in the real plane, you don't feel. The big difference is that you don't feel anything in Microsoft Flight Sim, but the VR is so close to the visual sight pattern, it's amazing. I actually bought so they have like planes that you can buy. So I'm flying in a Piper. So I bought a Piper plane inside a flight simulator for $25, a lot cheaper than the real one it might cost. And it's been good. It looks exactly like the plane that I fly, and everything's in the right place, and you get that same claustrophobic feel that you have in the real cockpit. And the VR is amazing because you can look around. You don't have to use a control to look, and that makes it really really good. So I've been really enjoying that, and I just haven't had as much time at home to play around with that. One of my girls both have birthdays starting tomorrow, so we took the younger one wanted to go to New York City for the weekend, so we took her to New York City this weekend, and then next weekend is Mother's Day, and then we've got the other kid's birthday. She's doing a ropes course, so we've got all sorts of stuff going on. It's been crazy. So, all right, so I'm going to pop out the USB stick here. Give me 1 second. But believe it or not, that flight sim video I did not do very well. YouTube does not like it when you veer off course on what it thinks you should be. So Zane has 2 NVIDIA Shield. I think I have like 4 of them at this point. I keep finding them around the house. I'm like, when did I get this one? So I have 3 2015s, which all still work. I have one 2017 that I bought to review when it came out, and then I bought the 2019, which is my upstairs kind of go-to box. And did I select the wrong file here? Let's see. Let's make sure I got the right file here. Oh, okay, let me go back. If I screwed that up, let's make sure I get the right one here, everybody. Okay, so let me go pop this out. And let's make sure I copied the right file. I was going off of what it said on the thing here. All right, so let's go back and look. So I make sure I get that right. So I may have copied the wrong one. All right, so I did, let's go back to our guide. So our guide said, so I have AM6B. Did I copy the AM6? Is that what I copied? Let's make sure I did this correctly. G12B. So we may have to reshoot that if I screwed that up. I did screw it up, didn't I? Let's see, let me undo this. I can't undo it. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to reflash this real quick. I need to get it back to where it was, but you are correct. I copied the wrong file. So thank you all. That's why I do this stuff on a live stream. So we're just going to reflash here and just start over. Because here's the problem is that when you're shooting one of these how-tos, I found over the years that people are very visual. So they come to this channel or this video, they're going to come to this to see how to do something. And I've seen, and I think I did this once before where I screwed up and people are following me step by step and I veer them off into the wrong direction and suddenly it's like, whoa, whoa, it screws everything up. So you have to, you got to correct these things when they happen. So let me go back and I'm going to play back what I recorded and just to find the cut point. So, because a lot of that was usable. So bear with me for a second, and I'm going to play that back, and then I'll find the spot where I can cut it. Okay, 3, 2, 1. All right, so our CoreElec directory. So we do have to move a file here. So let's go back into the directory here, and let's look for that file name. There's a bunch of them in here. So what we're going to do is look for S922 Ugoos. I'm going to cut it here. So let's see. Let me go back to my directory here. And it's very important to get the right file. So we're going to reflash this. It's almost done. And then we're going to pick it up and do it the right way. So yeah, if you're doing YouTube stuff and you're doing a how-to, I've seen people do this before. it's easy to say, oh, I screwed up, let's do this instead. But now you're taking the user into a confusing place, right? So I appreciate everybody keeping me on my toes here. That's right, at least one of you's paying attention. Not the guy actually shooting the video. I think it's my aging brain. I can't figure it out. Okay. So, hey, New York City is actually a pretty safe place. I like New York City. I go there all the time. So you just have to be smart about where you're going. But my kids got to, I taught my kids a little bit of subway riding, logistics of subway riding, because you could Uber everywhere, but if you Uber somewhere, it's going to cost you 30 or 40 bucks to go anywhere. So the subway, $2.90 a person. The kids are free if they're short, but mine are too tall now. So if they're under 44 inches, I guess if they can fit under the turnstile, they just let them go through. Yeah, but still, like 12 or 13 bucks per ride is a lot cheaper than $30 or $40 per ride. All right. So let's pick it back up. I'm going to start it off on me, and then that way we don't have a jump cut. I am the anti-jump cutter. And I'll put the thing in the background here. So G12. Make sure I do it correctly this time. All right, so G12, I'm going to find the file, and I'm going to select it now so I don't screw this up again. So we're looking for G12B, Ugoos AM6B.DTB, which is what I got here. So is this the right one, everybody? I could try to zoom in. Yeah, so I copied that one before, not this one, so that's what we want. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Now, it's important with this step to get the file name correct. There are two files right next to each other that look very close, and one of them has a B at the end and the other one doesn't. So this one here, the one with the B, is the one that we're going to copy. Actually, start this again. I don't think I said, I can't remember if I said to copy it here or not. Hang on one second. Let's play back where I left it. What we're going to do is look for S922 Ugoos. AM6, which I think is, okay, all right, so I'm going to cut it a little bit earlier than that. To Ugoos, back into the directory here. Okay, so I think I'm going to stop it at directory here, because that way, cut at directory here. This is my notes for editing later. Okay, so there we go. 3, 2, 1. Now it's really important. 3, 2, 1. Now it's really important to look, so give me 1 second. Sorry, everybody, I'm just trying to get this right. And let's look to copy the G12 S922 Ugoos to the root of our CoreElec directory. So we do have to move a file here. So let's go back. Okay. All right, so that's good. So now I know what I'm going to set it up with. 3, 2, 1. Now, it's important in this step to look at this very closely because there are two files right next to each other. One has a B at the end and the other one doesn't. You want the one with the B at the end per the instructions here. So Ugoos AM6B.DTB, and that's the one that I have selected now here on screen. So we're going to drag this file over to my D drive here, and that will set it up on the root. So now I'm going to go to that root. Let me move the window over here. And we have to rename this to dtb.img. So let's do that real quick. And we'll just select the file here. So we're going to call this dtb.img and hit enter. And we're going to get a warning here. You just click yes. And now that file is renamed. The next thing we need to do is copy dovi.ko and remote config file over as well. So we're going to go back to our downloads folder where we downloaded those files earlier. So here's the Dovi file. That's for Dolby Vision. We're going to drop that in here. And we're also going to drop the remote file in here. So now our drive should be ready to go. So the next step is I'm going to eject this drive. We're going to plug it into the Ugoos box here and boot it up with the reset button or recovery button pushed down with a paper clip. I'll demo that in a second. And that should get us booting off of this USB drive so we can install the CoreElec OS. All right, I think I did it that time. Hopefully I was recording. I was. Good. 103, install part 3. And now I'm going to check the chat to see if I screwed up anything. Okay. Yeah, by the way, so the reason why the audio is weird is I was playing it back on my speaker here so I could hear it, and I didn't mute myself. Because sometimes I forget to unmute, and it's a whole big thing. So that's why you heard an echo. You might hear another echo in a little bit, depending on how many times I screw this up. Okay, so we got the monitor up here. It is on standby. I'm going to select my, I feel like I'm starting my airplane that I fly in. Let's get all the pieces ready to go here so we can start the engine. Okay, there we go. So let me move this garbage out of the way here. And thank you for the folks following me on Amazon, including Paula and Bruce and Shoppy. And we may have to do some remote pairing in a little bit too. You know what I might do? Let me read through these instructions here and see what's next. Okay. Okay, so now we're on to the next step here, which is insert the USB drive in a USB port on your device. There are 2 ways to boot the device in upgrade mode, which we're going to do is the recovery button mode. And we have to repair the remote. So it looks like I have to plug in a keyboard, otherwise we're not going to be able to navigate the interface, because you have to go to settings in order to do anything. So we're going to plug a keyboard in so that we can actually configure this thing. And the question is, where is my keyboard? Excuse me for 1 second. I got to go find my keyboard. Here's my keyboard. And of course, the dongle is going to be missing. Yes, it is, as usual. So what was I experimenting with over here with it? I was using something. I think I was getting a computer configured. You know, I generally like what I do. I get frustrated with myself, though, because I don't always put things away when I move on to the next project. Partly because I'm always crunched for time with kids and everything else going on, and what happens is I set up things and then pieces get missing and we get into this situation. So I just have to track down. I think I may have been using, yeah, maybe this is where it was. Let's see. No, it's not in there. Yeah, so now I've got like a dongle sticking in something somewhere and I don't know where it is. I'll find another keyboard if I need to. But this is my lot in life. I continually put my dongles in things and then forget the thing that I put them in. And then you run around the office here trying to find what the dongle was occupying. And what happened was I haven't looked at that in a while. Let me just get another keyboard. And hopefully it just works with a keyboard and not something else. Yeah, I'm just going to get another keyboard out. And the dongle will reemerge at some point. It will appear, but not at the moment. So I'm just going to plug in a keyboard. If I can find it, and we'll go from there. Yeah, this is kind of par for the course around here. It could be on the desk. I don't know. Yeah, the dongle's in the... So here we call those the Timex Sinclair 1000. That's what we call them in this country. What was I doing the other day? I'm trying to remember what I was using my keyboard dongle with. And we're getting some good feedback. A lot of people like the CPM thing. So what I want is like the Dolby Vision output without any kind of stuff. So I would like to I do have the remote config file. Now, what it told me in there was just to copy it over, but I do hope to do that. So my hope is to get the Plex extension running on it. My control key just fell off. So where the heck could I put my thing? All right, so I'm just going to go find another keyboard, of which I have many. I did get rid of a bunch of keyboards recently, so that complicates matters a little. It drives me crazy when I do this because I had it out recently and now I don't. All right, so let's find a sufficient keyboard that can get this done real quick. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute, everybody. I'm going to go find a keyboard that can work with this. And it is pouring rain here. I usually like to take my dog out for a walk, and the poor dog is not happy with me. Although she was at we have a local dog kennel that we send her to when we're away. And at the kennel this weekend, there were 2 other huskies that looked just like her. So she was having a blast with some new husky buddies. So that was fun for her. All right, let's see. Let me go find a keyboard in my back room here. It's going to drive me crazy. I can't find the darn thing. Okay. Let's give this a go. Because we can't pair the remote up until we get the rest of it going. Okay, so let's start recording again. And I'm going to use this old beat-up Apple keyboard here. This will probably work just fine. All right. Yeah, dongle. It's raining in the outer rim of the galaxy. And yeah, no, I have it. Yeah, the file is on the disk. And I will double confirm that because I haven't ejected it yet. So we have, unless I forgot to copy it. I don't think I did. Yep, we got both files on there. So I will show you what we've got for files. So I'm going to eject the disk. All right. So I'm going to put this in the OTG USB 3 port. I think that's probably the best place for it, I would assume, right? And I'm going to go back to the instructions. Okay. All right, we're good to go here. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we are ready to boot up now. First thing I'm going to do here is plug my USB drive into one of the USB ports here. I chose the USB 3 port for that. I'm also going to plug in a USB keyboard, and the reason is that we have to pair the remote up after we boot, and we need some way to get to the settings screen from what I'm reading here. So we're going to use this old keyboard here. And if we jump back to the how-to guide that I've been following, what it recommends that we do is the recovery method, which means that we're going to power up the box, and when we do, we're going to have our paperclip here pushing down the recovery button when we start it up. And I'm probably going to start it upside down so I can make all that work. And we hold that button down until we get the CoreElec screen popping up on our display. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and start the process here. I'm going to grab my power cable, and I'm going to plug it into the back here while I've got the paper clip. I'll give you the overhead view here so you can see what I'm doing. So I have the paper clip pushing down here. I'm going to plug in the power here. And I think I may have to hit the power button, which is somewhere on the other side here. So I'm going to push the button down. And what I've got on screen now is an upgrading screen. And I think we might be getting there. Let's see what happens after this screen goes away here. But I think behind that Android image is the CoreElec logo. So let's see what happens. I'm waiting. All right, there we go. CoreElec is popping up, and I'm guessing it's going to hopefully install itself automatically. What I'm seeing up here is that it's partitioning the internal storage, creating the file system. So I'm going to let this run its course, and when it's done, we'll see if we have a functional system. Well, that was easy. Granted, we're not done yet, but... So I think what I'll do is then show how to pair the remote up. And I have a few minutes yet, so we may be able to see if we can get if the Dolby Vision actually works. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm getting a lot of questions about what we're actually looking at here. So I'm going to put a chat in here. This is a potential alternative to the Shield TV, as it supports Dolby Vision Profile 7. I'll pin this here. But I would suggest that if you want to get an NVIDIA Shield and not have to go through all this, get the Shield, because they're still available. So I think what I might do is I'll put a link when I do the final video. I'll do that, because actually this thing is going to cost you about the same, believe it or not. Oh, actually the remote works. That's great. Okay, so let me. I didn't run this through my capture device here, but why don't we just go through the setup process here? That's pretty easy. I was surprised by how easy that was. I have no idea what fork I'm using. I used whatever was on the screen here. A lot of people were asking about CPM. Now, my understanding from what I'm reading from people, I may be wrong about this, so you all can correct me. From what I'm reading is that the CPM fork doesn't pass the Dolby Vision Profile 7 to the display. It redoes it as HDR10. If I'm wrong about that, correct me. But I went with what I found here, which is on this page. All right, so let's pick it up from here. Now I found my remote paired up, so we don't have to go through that step, because yours would likely do the same thing. I've never booted this in Android at all, so. I think the next thing we need to do is figure out how to get Plex working on it. Three, two, one. All right, so it booted up without issue here. To my surprise, the remote worked right out of the gate. I never even booted this thing into Android, but the remote paired up automatically, so I did not end up needing the keyboard. I didn't connect this up to my capture hardware, but I'll run through the install here by shooting the screen. And what it's asking me for right now is to select my language. I'm going to flip the box back around here so I get the thing right side up here. And, oh, I just turned it off. Shoot. I hit the button when I flipped it over. Let's reboot it here. It probably just went to sleep, right? Nope, it actually turned off. How about that? Hopefully I didn't mess it up too badly here. This is pretty cool. I've never had like a box that runs something other than Android. Okay, 3, 2, 1. All right, so we are now booted up, and I'm going to walk through some of the setup procedures here. The remote actually paired up without issue. I didn't have to use the keyboard at all, but there is a process to pair the remote should it not work, and there are instructions on the how-to guide that I'll point you to. So what we're going to do here is click on Next to select my language. I'm going to leave the defaults here just to get everything set up and operating. We'll get the network going. I have it hardwired right now to my network, so we're going to run with the hardwire because I do want to stream Blu-ray MKVs to this device. It does have gigabit Ethernet on board. And yeah, we'll go from there. I'm not going to configure the sharing services right now because I'm just going to use this to consume media. And we'll click on next here. It looks like it's stuck. Let's see, there it goes. And I think we're ready to go here. All right, so we are good to go. The next step now is to try to get this to work with my Plex server. So why don't we figure that out next? All right, so what's the best Plex option, everybody? Yeah, so what I want, for me, and this will be something I'll talk about. I will do some research on the other build. Let me make a note of that, actually. Just to give people some options as to what they should be looking for. For me, what I want is just straight up pass-through. I don't want any upscaling or anything else. I just want my movies to be how they were on the disc, is basically what I'm shooting for here. That's what I do with my Shield. I don't use any of the AI upscaling or any of that stuff. Maybe I'm old-fashioned like that. I don't know. All right, Plex installation. Believe it or not, I'm shooting most of the video right now, but what I need to do, this display doesn't support Dolby Vision, so I have to go through the rest of the stuff on my home theater upstairs. But I do have a television in the room here with me over there. It's a Roku TV. That does support Dolby Vision, so we should be able to see that. So I guess what I'm going to do, go down to add-ons, right? Where's the front of this thing? Oh, I see the IR blocks on the top. All right, so I guess I would install from a repository, right? Is that where we go? Let's see what people say. PKC Plex Kodi Connect. Where does that live? Is that in like program add-ons or PVR clients? Let's see. I see next a bunch of stuff here. Pluto, PVR, Freebox. Oh, I see we've got a Windows Media Center client. Does that actually work? That's awesome. If you can access your CoreElec through Windows, which I can, you can move PKC to your downloads folder. So Plex Kodi Connect. So that's not something I can just download, I guess, huh? Again, I'm so new to this. And let me install the HD home run at least, because that'll be helpful. I can watch my over-the-air TV. So there we got that going. Yeah, it's been a while since I've messed with Kodi. Because YouTube, believe it or not, YouTube has been demonetizing videos about Kodi. We'll see if they find this one here. So Plex mod for Kodi, official on Plex forums. Okay, so would we find this on? Okay, got it. So got to install from a custom repository zip file. All right, so we need to figure that out. Plex Kodi Connect, so I'm going to go look for that. Oops. Okay, so video add-on and see if, okay, so let's do that. So video add-on, is that we're looking for video add-ons. And we're looking for Plex Kodi Connect. I do not see it on here. Why don't we see how my HD home run is working? Let's try that. Oops. Can I just run it here or have to go to something else? Let's see. Let's go back over here. We've not set up a PVR yet. I got some time. I got to figure out some other stuff on here, don't I? Like I said, it's been a while since I've been in Kodi before, so. This might be the actual interface. Okay, so let's install the interface. Oh, geez. Okay, I'm just going to go with whatever it told me to do here. Through GitHub. Okay. So some people say composite. Other people say Plex Kodi Connect. So which one is better? Okay, so HD Home Run Simple is installed. So let's see what we get on that. So HD Home Run, by the way, is what I use to tune over-the-air television, at least until my broadcasters encrypt everything. So let's go back to the home screen here. So if I go to TV, all right, so that's not working yet. I got to figure that out. Oh, add-ons. Let's see what we get here. Oh, it's not like the real HD Home Run interface here, though. So what I can do, let me pull up one of my ATSC3. So one of the things I'll test upstairs is whether or not it works with ATSC3 stuff. So my ATSC3 channels are at the bottom here. So here is, I think 108.1 is my ATSC3. So what it's doing now is connecting to my HD Home Run and tuning it over the air. Yep, that seems to work. And if we go over to the info screen here, I'm just looking to see what it's decoding here. Yeah, so H.265. It doesn't seem to support AC4, but it could just be the plug-in here, so we'll have to play around with that a little bit more. All right, we'll come back to that. All right, so I got to find this Plex Cody thing. See, some of you said it's in the, that's the repository. So I saw. Yeah, in stereo where available. If it's not, if you don't have AC4, you don't hear anything. All right. Oh, I see. We can actually install from a zip file. I would just have to copy it over. The box seems to be pretty solid, though. It feels pretty quick. Oh, channels is on here. Now, here's Plex, but this, for what you all are telling me, this is not the same Plex. So this is the official one, but that's not the good one. So let's go find Plex Cody Connect. And I think what I might do in the main video is kind of do this in the main video, as far as getting all the stuff connected, because that'll be a good task for that. Plex integration in Cody done right. All right, so let's download an installation. So I'll show you what I'm looking at here. So go to releases. And what do I download? Just the source code, or is there an actual binary here? I guess we'll just download that. And what I will do is I'll pop out my little boot stick here, and I'll stick it back in the computer. I'm just curious to see how this all comes together. And I'm just going to copy it to the root of that folder here. Let's see what happens. All right, so I'm going to install from a zip file. And we got to turn that off, I'm assuming. Okay, we'll turn that on. Okay, so go back, install from zip file. And here's Cody Connect. Oops. Is it doing anything? Let's see. Doesn't seem to do anything. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. want Plex for Kodi. So everyone says the one that I found here is the one that we should be installing. So it could be that this this is not the right file. If I click on it, nothing happens. This is where I get screwed up, right? Yes, I'm in the same I'm in the same boat, Trent. And now I think I locked up my box. We'll do a quick reboot on it. We'll start again. I'm giving it too much input. The good news is the installation here was pretty quick and easy. So it's kind of nice to have like an Android style box that boots right into something other than Android, right? So the box Wi-Fi, it looks like it's pretty good. Like I said, I'm going to have this one connected up over Ethernet, but I can test that. Oh, and Jesse says to let it. Okay, so I'll be more patient. Yeah, I think if your intent is to do emulation, you're better off just leaving it as an Android box. Because this is not as powerful as the Shield would be, believe it or not, even though the Shield is like 10 years old. All right, so let's go back up to settings here. Yeah, my goal with this is to have like a Plex client that just runs Plex. Oh, I forgot its settings. Unknown sources. Okay. All right, so I turned that on. All right, install from zip file. And it's not finding the USB drive now. Root file system, that's not it. Let's pop this back out and back in again. ZeroConf browser, what's this thing? That's not it. Is there like a mount point on here? Let's go look for the media. Nope. Nope. I'm trying to find where the USB drive. It was in there before when we were looking through this, right? So I can move it. Okay, so maybe I'll do it over that. Maybe might be easier. Yeah, because it's definitely not finding that disk. All right, so I'll just have to connect this to. Oh, I can find my stuff right here. Okay, so maybe I'll connect this up to my. See if I have something that's shareable without a huge long password. All right, give me a second. I'm going to put this in. I have the keyboard here still, so that helps. So I'm going to type in some stuff. And I'll copy the file over there. Let's see if it finds it. All right, so now it's trying to navigate to my, to my NAS box. The remote, yeah, it's actually got a nice clicky remote. It's got a nice feel to it. I will give you that. And it's locked up again. Yeah, this is one of those things. Like I said, like if you can buy a Shield, get the Shield. But the good news is I'm making progress. That's what matters here. But it is now totally locked up. So I don't know if it's like just trying to communicate or what. So we'll let it sit here for a minute until it figures out what's going on. So Amazon customers wondering, what does this box do? So this is when you buy it, it's an Android TV box. However, you can install CoreElec on it, and it becomes not quite a Shield alternative in the sense that it's as powerful as the NVIDIA Shield. It isn't. But what it does support are all of the video modes that enthusiasts want, specifically Dolby Vision Profile 7, which is what your Blu-ray discs use. And so that's kind of the appeal of this box, although I'm having some trouble getting it to do what I want it to do. But this is exactly like to Trent's point. Like, we all got spoiled by the Shield, right? But you know what I'm not sure about is how much time is the Shield got left, right? Yeah. Amazon customer says, well, I was wondering what it does before it froze up. Right, exactly. It's a little edgy here. This is not as perfect because you're installing, you know, open source projects, which are great, but these are the kinds of things you run into. So you know what I will do, Jesse? I will share it on the network. I had not initially enabled SMB sharing, so I'll turn that on, and that might be the better way to go. Yeah, so for me, JD, like what I want is the Dolby Vision. That for me is like the big need. All right, so let's go over to system settings here. I think it's in there somewhere. Display, internet access, power saving. All right, so where are the file sharing settings in here? Is it in CoreElec's? I should have enabled that when I started it, but I didn't do that. Services, there we go. Enable Samba. Okay, I do have it enabled. Okay. So I should be able to do that. Okay, so let me go take a look on the computer side here. I'm not sure what IP address it has, so let me go check that again. Oh, shoot, I hit the wrong button. I'm getting there. This is what I do the live streams. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. I don't profess to be an expert. So I think what I like about what I do is that I start where you all are, and we try to figure it out together. Okay, so it's .254. So let's see if it shows up on my computer here. 254. Okay, now it wants a username and a password, which I have not set up. Services. All right, so it's asking for a password on my Windows computer, which I have not set up. So I don't know if there's a default or not. But I'm just going to give it okay, so CoreElec. So let's try that. So a good question. Yeah, where's the fun if it's too easy? Exactly. This is exactly what I was expecting, right? With that we would run into, you know, these kinds of issues because this is not CoreElec. It's not accessible. You may not have permission to access this device. So here we go again. All right. Do I have to save the settings? Maybe that's what I have to do. Scroll down a little bit here. Okay, so I enabled Samba. I did turn on password authentication. I'm just going to select SMB1 for the heck of it. I know it's not secure, but whatever. Do we have to reboot to get that to work? Maybe? CoreElec. Not accessible. Let's try the root idea. Nope. Doesn't like it. So here's another good question. I got to run in a minute, so I'll keep playing with this thing. Is $170 a good price for this box? For that much, why not get a Shield? And that is exactly it. So I think if you can get a Shield, get one before they go away. What I'm trying to do is like prepare for the post-Shield lifestyle, right? Like, or the post-Shield reality, because I don't know how much longer they're going to say this is working for. So that's the issue. So the Shield is better, but what I'm looking for is an alternative. And to say this is an alternative is, you know, it's not quite an alternative. What it really is how can we have a box that I can stream my in-home media the same way I do it on the Shield. And that's kind of what I'm looking for here. So what I'm going to do real quick is reboot this thing again and see if maybe that's what it is. And I got the wrong file. Okay, so which file is the right file? That's it. This is what's so fun about these things. That's why I like doing these streams, because like I know one of you is bound to understand how to make this work, and then I can distill it down into something simple, right? Like that's what I'm always looking for. Is like I don't like these projects that require you to code stuff. I just want to show the consumer, the pro consumer in this case, like what's the path to get this to work. The good news is the installation was actually really easy. So I think that's an exciting component here. And technically, you're correct, right? So the NVIDIA Shield does pass Profile 7, but it's doing something to it. This, I think, is going to be the real Profile 7, if I'm not mistaken. And that is why, with this one, we completely wiped it out. So we're not even running the Android OS on this. This is strictly CoreElec, which is its own thing. All right, so let's see if I can connect to the drive now, or the device now. Oh, I think I'm connecting. Yes, I'm in. Okay, so we are connected. So here's the difference, though. The OnBox has Dolby Vision. Many of the other ones that you have out there do. But that's for streaming services only. It's a different Dolby Vision profile than what a Blu-ray uses. And that's the goal here, is to replicate. So what I do is I have my Blu-rays on a server, so I don't have to keep swapping discs around. I can sit down at my TV, hit my button on Plex, and boot up the movie I want to watch. And it looks identical to the disc because it's the actual file. And that's the difference. So that's what we've been looking for, is something that can play those files. Additionally, the OnBox has Ethernet, but it's only 100 megabit Ethernet. Some of the bit rates on these Blu-ray files are high bit rate HEVC files. They exceed 100 megabits on certain ones. So that's the difference. Okay, so now I was able to get in there. Now I'm being told that I've got the wrong file, but I'm just going to copy it over anyhow for the heck of it. And you all can tell me which file I got incorrect on this. Let me just go boot up my downloads folder here. So I'm going to copy. Let's see what's inside of this thing. Oh yeah, so there's like a whole bunch of stuff in here. Let me look at the README file here. Installation instructions. Ah, okay. So download. Oh, there's a whole installation page, so that's what I got wrong. All right, so let's go to the README file off of the thing. We'll take it from the top here. So let me go back to the screen here. And I got to run in a few minutes. I do have to get tonight's video ready too. Okay, so perhaps if I looked at the instructions first. My wife always yells at me about this. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, how do we install it? How do we install it? Where is the installation? Download and installation. Click here for detailed instructions. From now on, manage your media in Plex and not in Kodi. Okay, we can handle that. I got everything else there. Okay, so add a new Kodi Connect source in Kodi's file manager. Oh, this is complicated. Automatic installation, that's what I want. This method allows for an easier installation, above all, automatic updates. Oh, I see. Okay, so this is why I did it wrong. And they don't recommend the manual installation. Okay, so add a Plex Kodi Connect source in Kodi's file manager. So go to, all right, so we go to file manager, add source. Gosh, I have not done this stuff in so long. So we're going to call this Plex Kodi Connect. Oops. Okay, so I've done that. All right, so now what? Plex Kodi protocol. I have no idea what I'm doing here. I have to go up to browse maybe. Is that, yeah, the remote does have a nice sound to it, doesn't it? Okay, so we're going to add a network location. So protocol, oh, I see. Okay, so we're going to go to web server directory. Okay, there we go, HTTP. We're going to type in chronitor.github.io. Remote path is going to be, yeah, I think having a keyboard really helps here, everybody. pkc-source, and the port is 443. Okay. I'm assuming no username or password. So we'll hit OK here. Unable to connect. So this could be due to the network not being connected. Yeah, I'm running out of time, everybody. There will be more to this, I think. Let me see what everybody's saying. I hope I'm getting this right. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research on this, and I found that there's a chart, there's some Reddit post, I'll find it and link to it, that has a Google spreadsheet of all the different options you have right now, and like this one is the best of the bunch. All right, so let me try this one more time, and then I got to run. And I promise you there will be closure on this. We'll have a video where we'll have closure. All right, so let's go back through one more time. Let's see if we can get this right here. So we're going to say web directory server HTTP, server address CRONETER.github.io. I'm typing sideways, so CRONETER.github.io. Remote path. And again, I'm following the directions that are on the thing. pkc-source. Port 443. I think I got it right here, right? Oh, HTTPS, that's what I did wrong. Okay, so let's go HTTPS. Now I typed the whole stupid thing in again. Chronoter. You got to follow these directions very carefully. GitHub.io. So this is why I would say getting a shield is a lot easier right now if you can get one. Okay, chronoter.github.io. Remote path is pkc-source. And then we'll click OK. That should work. Unable to connect. I'm going to add it anyhow. What the heck? So why is it doing that when it should be the other thing? It could just be we have to get this installed first. Okay. Alternatively, download the repository zip directly. Okay, install the Plex Kodi Connect repository from a zip file. All right, so where did we get that? I'll put this on screen for you to see this. Install from zip file. Unknown sources, we did all that. Yeah, so it's not, we should be seeing this in my, see, why did it change it to that? That's not what I typed in. So we may have to put the HTTPS in front of it there. Maybe that's what I have to do. CRON. I know this is painful to watch, everybody, but I do this so you don't have to. Okay, it seemed to like that better. Oh wait, now it's got two things in there. Hang on a second. Let's edit this. I can't make this up. All right, now it doesn't have that anymore. Okay. I don't know what I'm going to do. I got it. I got it. It's not working. All right, everybody. No need remote path. Okay, how about just inserting the full URL into this? So I did that already and it didn't work. Yes, composite might be the way to go. We'll see. All I want is my movies to work, so that's what I'm going to play with. Okay, so I got to run because I got to get a bunch of stuff taken care of here. But the good news is it's funny. I thought the hard part would be getting the OS on here. The hard part is actually getting Plex to work. So I will continue this. Maybe we'll do another live stream with it. It is going to be a project, which is fine. I like projects. But eventually we'll get this thing figured out to be super, super quick and easy. So that's the goal, is to develop a path where we can guide the user through the whole thing and get it to work. In the meantime, if you are looking for an NVIDIA Shield, buy a Shield, because you may not be able to get them for too much longer. They haven't announced that they're discontinuing it, but I was expecting we would see an announcement along with the Switch 2 announcement, and we haven't. So, I mean, if I'm NVIDIA, I don't see how they make any money on that box right now. And the only way they're making a profit on that box is that they developed it 10 years ago and they've been selling it for 10 years. So if they keep selling it, we're fine. But they don't make much consumer hardware, do they? Maybe they make a few cards, right? Like they do the reference design cards, and that's about it. So, in any event. All right, so tonight's video will be up around 6:45. Nothing exciting, but it's a external hard drive from SanDisk that is USB 4, 40 gigabit per second. We're finally seeing the big manufacturers actually come up with a drive. So there you go. Yeah, so I'm going to leave this. I'm going to unplug it because I don't know what I've installed on this thing. But what I'll do is I will come back maybe tomorrow with this, and we'll get it figured out. All right, everybody? So yeah, we'll get this figured out. Yeah, I'm exactly in your boat there. That's right. Yeah, I think as long as there's a Switch 1, there'll likely be an NVIDIA Shield. I don't know how many of them actually they actually sell, except for us, right? Like there's like the cord cutter community, the very small group of us that do the hardcore cord cutting. Mohammed Afiq Mahamin, hope I got the name right. It is 2:41. Oh wow, you're up late. Well, thanks for tuning in this late. Right here, it's about 2:42 in the afternoon. Yeah, and I did a video on the Shield hitting its 10-year mark, because it is 10 years. It came out almost actually, let me look, actually, you know something? Let me check my studio, because I can tell you exactly when it came out, because I reviewed it the day it arrived. Yeah, it still is a great device. All right, so my first NVIDIA Shield video, I've done 57 of them. Like it's been mentioned 57 times on my channel here. So I did the Shield tablet. Okay, so the Shield TV, my review of it was on May 31st, 2015. So a year ago, 10 years ago this month. And then I did a follow-up on June 4th about retro emulation. It just kept going. It kept delivering, and it still does. Think about this. 10 years later, I've done essentially 57 videos mentioning or covering the NVIDIA Shield. Isn't that wild? And the operating system is so much different. So for example, there was a built-in DVR back then. So the Shield through Android could tune into over-the-air television and record it. not anymore. What else did it do? Oh, that's right. I don't think it supported lossless audio initially. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that they added to it over time. It's going back through everything. Yeah, it's been a fun one. But yeah, 57 videos about the NVIDIA Shield over the last 10 years, just on this channel. It's amazing. It's an amazing product. I mean, you never see that. I don't even think, even if you go back, like, back in the 80s, hardware had a longer lifespan. So, like, I'm thinking like the Apple II. The Apple II shipped from 1979, right? All the way through 1991. And they still were making like the card for the Mac, for the LCs. So, oh, that was another question. Was I subject to the tariff on this? No, thankfully. It came in, it got through customs like 2 days before the tariffs were going to take effect. So AJ Sharaf is using the Ugoos with a remote from Amazon, Fire remote, and says it's better. All right, we'll figure it out. And Supa Sim is watching me on a 2015 Shield. Yeah, isn't it amazing that thing still works? It's just, not only does it work, I mean, it's one thing to have hardware that works. My Nintendo from whenever, 40 years ago, still works. But the fact that they are updating it still, like it's still supported, is crazy. Yeah, I think I might look at composite. I want to look at something easy that will at least accomplish what I'm hoping it will. So we'll figure that out. All right. Well, we are getting there. I am going to find the best outcome, get this thing to work, and we'll have a video where there's closure on all this. But we've got a good start. We're off to a good start. The thing is actually flashed. Like, the hard part is not apparently the flashing the operating system. It's getting the plugins to work. So we'll figure that out. Now, as far as Widevine goes, no, it doesn't, because this is now, well, it does in its Android form, I believe, but because we've now flashed CoreElec on it, I don't believe it supports Widevine. So really what this thing is going to be is like a gateway to my Plex server and nothing else. And maybe my HD home run. That's kind of what you end up with this. So, all right, so I'm gonna follow the manual more closely so I don't screw it up. I was getting impatient. So I'm going to follow that. I'll develop a guide, and we'll kind of go from there. All right, let me run here, everybody. But I will be back again before you know it. And thank you all for tuning in to today's live stream. Picked up a bunch of new followers on Amazon, so thank you all for that. And we'll figure it out. But yeah, good stuff. Yeah, Mohammed's talking about the over-the-air. Yeah, I still have some hope we might squeak out a win on this, but we'll see what happens. But you've got a lot more options in Malaysia than we do here, at least in the near future. I am sure there's a way to dual boot, but I am not sure. My plan is to have this thing, I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing, because I have an NVIDIA Shield. I just wanted to see what the options were, so I picked this up before the tariffs kicked in. The one on Amazon you can get without tariffs. So it's a little more expensive than what I paid for it, but it's less than what you would pay if you imported it directly. So Frankie Machine, yeah, this is a TV box that we're basically configuring to play back Blu-ray movies with Dolby Vision Profile 7. This is a super nerdy movie nerd thing. If you're into the NVIDIA Shield, this is like what might be an alternative to it for one purpose. And there you go, you can dual boot. Maybe we'll have a whole 57 series of videos about all the things you can do with this thing. So open book. It was very easy to wipe the operating system on this and install CoreElec. So that's a good start. And I love all the crap hanging out of it. That's what's fun too. All right. Well, that will do it for now. I will be back. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm sorry we didn't get to the conclusion, but that's the fun part about this. I'm gonna leave you in suspense. Will he be able to watch his movies on this box? I mean, this is better than any television show you might watch, right? So, all right, everybody. I will catch you on the next one. And be sure to subscribe if you're not already. And follow me on Amazon, because I occasionally do like behind the scenes of me shooting a video, and I just stream it over to Amazon. It's a lot of fun. So be on the lookout. Talk to you all soon. Catch you on the next stream. Bye-bye.